All right, in this video, we are going to be talking about multiplication. To start off with, we need to just get a little bit of a base of understanding about what it means to multiply with integers. When we talk about multiplying two whole numbers, we need to realize that this is something new. We are now, for the first time, counting by multiples instead of by units of 1. When we're adding or subtracting, we're thinking about in units of 1. When we say 3 plus 5, we mean 3 units of 1 plus 5 units of 1. But when we say the problem 3 times 5, we're now counting by 5s. This is called the term, and this is what we're counting by. This is called, the first number is called the coefficient. That's how many times we need to count up by the term. So from 0, we say from 0 we go to 5. Another 5 would be 10, and a third 5 would be 15. And therefore, 3 times 5 equals 15. Now, looking at this on a number line, let's take, for example, the problem 4 times 2. In this problem, we are counting by 2's. So if we look at this on a number line, then that means from 0, we count by 2 4 times. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. This is really no different than what we've already been doing, except for the fact that we have to keep in mind we're counting by a number other than 1. Now, the implications for negative numbers is really the same. If I said 4 times negative 2, well, what does that mean? That means counting by negative 2's. And remember, negative numbers, if you forget this, go back to the addition video. Negative numbers mean you're moving to the left 2 every time. So let's move to the left by 2 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. You won't miss a problem in multiplication as long as you keep in mind what's actually taking place. You kind of need to scratch some of the stuff that you've memorized in the past and just go back to the basics of what's actually taking place. Now, with that said, we need to talk about negative coefficients. When we have a negative coefficient, it takes on a new role. In the addition video, we talked about numbers existing in one of two categories. Numbers existed as positive or negative. And in math, we're just always talking about this relationship of like something and its opposite. So positive 5 means go to the right 5. Negative 5 means go to the left 5. Well, when we're talking about coefficients, if we talk about, say, 5 times 3, the coefficient is now serving a different purpose than as a number, and it needs to be remembered differently than the properties of numbers, because it's not acting as a number, it's acting as a coefficient. This 5 as a coefficient means add this number to itself 5 times. When we have a negative coefficient, it means do the opposite of that. It means do the opposite of 3 5 times. Well, 3 says go to the right. So the opposite of 3 would be negative 3. So this means go to the left 3 5 times. Negative 3, negative 6, negative 9, negative 12, negative 15. This is true for when we have two negative numbers multiplied by each other. If I said negative 3 times negative 3, then that means do the opposite of going to the left 3. So I need to remember, I'm actually now this says, hey, do the opposite of this. So I'm going to the right 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. This would equal negative 3 times negative 3 equals positive 9. And if it's any help, I think about like double negatives in language. This is saying like do the opposite of doing the opposite of 3, right? These two cancel each other out. This is saying do the opposite of an opposite. So we're left with just 3 times 3. Now, the other major thing that we need to talk about is the idea of the distributive property. The distributive property is the foundation for when we multiply larger numbers. So the distributive property says if you have some term that's in parentheses, and therefore in the parentheses it's kind of broken up. Let's say 10 plus 5. And I want to multiply that by 2. This 2 outside the parentheses is the coefficient. And it says count up by 10 2 times and count up by 5 2 times. Well, that counting it by 10 2 times would be 20, and 5 2 times would be 10. So this would equal 30. And we can view this in expanded terms. Let's say I asked you, what is 15 times 3? Well, the traditional algorithm or process for doing this, you would say, well, 3 times 5 is 15. The ones place goes here. I need to remember to add 1 to my tens place. Well, 3 times 10 is a 30. I need to add another 10, so 40. So put a 4 in the tens place, and that would equal 45. The reason that this algorithm works is because of the distributive property. I can write 15 in expanded form as 10 plus 5. And that 15 is being multiplied by 3. So what did we do? We said 3 times 5, so we said there's 3 5s. And we said 3 times 10, there's 3 10s. And then we added that together. So 3 10s is 30, and 3 5s is 15. And when we add that together, we get 45. We can look at this algebraically. We can the actual kind of definition of the distributive property is to say A times B plus C equals, well, that means A is the coefficient. So that means there's A B's. Whatever A is, there's that many B's, and there's A C's. This is sort of the foundation for multiplication. Obviously, you can go a lot further, and I encourage you to on Khan Academy. But this is the foundation of what you need to know to understand multiplication. Thank you so much.